Vital force and mythological understanding. Introduction. I am not very knowledgeable about this kind of vital force. So this is also something beyond my expertise. However, it is a topic that cannot be ignored in the study of mythology. First of all, I have a deep respect for the intelligence and sensitivity of ancient people. When it comes to talking about vital force, some people may think it's too suspicious. But across cultures and eras, in completely different contexts, why is it that snakes are chosen to represent medicine, wisdom, regeneration, vitality, and transformation? There must be some reason for this. Don't you think? Nowadays, phenomena that were once invisible in life, such as hormones in the blood, neurotransmitters, and the double helix of DNA, are gradually becoming visible. Perhaps it is precisely because of this that it is worth examining. What were the ancient people seeing in snakes? A provisional synthesis. Human cultures have long spoken of an invisible force that circulates through the body and sustains life. In many traditions, this force is described as moving together with blood, breath, or internal flow. While it is closely related to bodily sensation, it is not identical to sensation itself. What is being addressed here is not a supernatural substance, nor a metaphor divorced from the body, but a life process, a set of internal dynamics that shape perception, emotion, decision-making, and relational presence. For clarity, it is useful to distinguish between two aspects of this vital force. Internal, unobservable processes that circulate within the body. Externalized effects that manifest as presence, atmosphere, or influence on others. These roughly correspond to what older systems described as inner and outer aspects of life force. 1. Vital force as a physiological life process. One of the most plausible modern interpretations of vital force is that it is grounded, at least in part, in neurochemical and hormonal regulation. Substances such as adrenaline and noradrenaline, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, directly shape emotional tone, judgment and decision-making, motivation and action readiness, threat perception, bonding, trust, and attachment. From this perspective, ancient descriptions of a circulation, activation, or a heightened vitality, it can be understood as phenomenological interpretations of internal regulatory forces. This dimension belongs to the internal mode of being. It operates within the body and is not directly visible. 2. Why physiology alone is not sufficient. At the same time, physiological explanation does not fully account for lived experience. People with similar internal states can differ dramatically in the atmosphere they create, the influence they exert on a group, the intensity or calm they project. There are also moments when a room's atmosphere changes without words. touch, or explicit action. This suggests that neurochemistry functions as a medium, not as the total explanation. Certain aspects of vital force remain relational, contextual, and emergent. 3. The problem of externalized vital force. The most difficult aspect to analyze is what might be called externalized vital force. This is not simply cheerfulness or extroversion. It includes posture and micromovement, gaze and attentional focus, rhythm of breathing, spatial occupation and pressure, timing, silence, and restraint. No single factor explains it. It is difficult to measure, difficult to reproduce experimentally, highly context-dependent. For these reasons, it lies at the margins of what empirical science currently handles well. Yet few would claim it does not exist. 4. Emotional transmission and collective dynamics. What is often described as a vital force overlaps with phenomena that psychology and neuroscience have begun to study. Emotional contagion, empathic resonance, mirror neuron activity, collective arousal and coordination. Examples include feeling energized while watching coordinated athletic performance, absorbing tension from others, being overwhelmed by the presence of a highly focused or passionate individual, rather than being unscientific. These phenomena are better described as not yet fully explained. Between reduction and mystification, vital force cannot be treated as magic. But it also cannot be dismissed as mere illusion without ignoring a vast body of cross-cultural evidence. Distinguishing between internal regulatory processes and external relational effects allows us to see where explanation is possible and where it remains provisional. A shared blind spot in literature, spirituality, and science. Literature often preserves narrative meaning but loses the body. Spiritual discourse tends to mystify or reject embodiment. Science frequently models humans as mechanical systems. In all three, the living, sensing human being risks disappearing. Why the discourse repeatedly returns to the serpent. Across cultures, discussions of vital force converge on the image of the serpent. In South Asian traditions, Kundalini rises along the spine as a coiled serpent. In Greek culture, serpents accompany healing deities such as Asclepius. The Caduceus presents intertwined serpents in balance. The myth of Tiresias links serpents to transformation of perception and sex. DNA itself takes the form of a double helix. The key point is not that the serpent symbolizes vitality, but that it mirrors bodily experience. Serpents lack limbs yet generate propulsion, move in waves, rely on spinal motion as their primary motor. They visually express something that is felt internally, a force that flows, rises, coils, and transforms without a clear point of origin. Beyond the otherworldly explanation, serpents are often described as mediators between worlds. But this alone does not explain their persistent association with healing, life, and knowledge. Birds, fish, and insects could have served as liminal figures as well. Yet serpents dominate this domain. A more coherent explanation is that they externalize internal bodily dynamics, blood flow, neural signaling, hormonal rhythms, breath, and spinal sensation. Closing note. This field remains difficult, and my understanding is still provisional. Immediate agreement is not required. At some point, one may recognize these dynamics directly, or science may develop models that approach what myth has long attempted to articulate. At minimum, myths appear to be humanity's sustained effort to understand what it means to live as embodied beings, responding to internal processes that were felt long before they could be measured. The full text is on Patreon. I look forward to your visit.